And what they did basically was they went to the United States or America and they brought in the people who worked for the Democratic Party and they totally rebuilt their election machine. And over the last 5 years they've rebuilt it really around two things about getting postal votes. Because someone with a postal vote is 8 times more likely to vote than someone without a postal vote. So you get your supporters, you identify your supporters through things like petitions. So you see, we're doing something about this once we've analysed what it is. You identify your supporters through things like petitions, and then you go around and you get them a postal vote. You more or less force them a postal vote. Because you know, once they've got it, they're far more likely to vote than someone who hasn't. And then they don't just think, well, there's a street there of working people, they might vote for us. They don't do that at all. They haven't got the manpower to do it. But what they do is they look and they think, right, most people don't vote for us. Anyone, say, working in the council, right, if they're emptying the bins, if they're doing the roads, if they're doing an honest day's work, they're not voting for asylum. Because they can see the country's going to hell in a handcart, they can see their hard-earned taxes going to every parasite under the sun, homegrown and imported, wasted on illegal, ridiculous wars. They're not going to vote for us. But the upper levels of the town hall bureaucracy, the people who make their money looking after asylum seekers, the people who build an empire looking after idle, useless beggars who've never done a day's work in their life and are proud of it, those people are going to keep on voting Labour, because that part of the welfare state was a good thing. If it's there for people who paid in and for people who need help through no fault of their own. But when it's for sponges who've never earned it, never done anything and won't pay anything back, it's a bad thing. But they look and they see that, and so they get the ones who are benefiting from the bad side of the welfare state. You've got to vote Labour, because if the Tories get in, let alone the BNP, they're going to axe your jobs. Because they're going to spend money making sure the bins are emptied every week, not making sure that there's translators for asylum seekers who shouldn't even be in our country. So they mobilise that vote. And then they mobilise the votes of the various different ethnic and bizarre sexual groups that aren't within normal society. And yeah, they vote for us. So they built what they call a rainbow coalition. And then they make damn well sure that they vote. And then they know that there's a certain section, there's some people who, well, they're basically satisfied with life, and they have always read the Daily Mirror, so they've always voted Labour in the past, but they wouldn't vote now. They go and absolutely pressure them. And they interview a group of these people, and they do it very systematic. They identify, they target. Right, we've got, in this ward, we've got 600 people in this kind of bracket, sharing the same interests, the same lifestyle, roughly the same age, reading the same newspapers and so on. And what they do, we've got 600 of them. They don't try and canvass. We've been knocking ourselves out, knocking on every single door. They don't do that. All they do is they've got 600, they pick a random 20 of them, and they go and talk to them. They find out exactly what they think, where they like the Labour Party, where they don't, where they like the opposition and where they don't, and then they write to them specially. Just them. They talk to them specially, they target the people who might vote for them, and they turn their vote out. It's just a machine. And they've gone, we gave them such a shock 5 years ago, they went from being behind us to leapfrogging everybody, and they've got a great machine. There's no point us complaining about it, or fighting amongst ourselves because our machine can't beat theirs anymore in the way it used to. We've just got to learn what they've done, and we've got to duplicate it, which we're part way through. And we're not there yet. I know several people here came over to Oldham and helped out in the campaign there. Barnsley, we've got a parliamentary by-election coming up in Barnsley, where another Labour crook has got thrown out because he's been caught fiddling expenses on a huge scale. Now, we've got about 10% of the popular vote in Barnsley. We could beat the Lib Dems, the Tories, UKIP. It's possible in Barnsley. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's a possibility. We've got a lot of support. We've got a great local unit there. I was on their stall with them last weekend, and they've had a stall in Barnsley Market every Saturday except Christmas Day for the last 4 years. Now that's dedication and devotion, and they're recognised as local. And for that alone, they deserve for every single activist from Derbyshire to go out and help them at least once. Go out and give them a hand, and I'm sure that people will. But we're going to be in Barnsley, not just to maximise our vote, but also to teach people the early stages of what we're doing to create an electoral machine which will match the Labour Party. I tell you, we are going to do it. It's within our grasp. We're not quite there yet, but we've been working really hard on it for the last 3-4 months, while other people have just been slagging the party and me off. We've actually been getting on with the job of building the machine and designing it, something to actually take the Labour Party on. And we're going to take them on. Having said which, another thing looking to the future, and it's going to be important here. In recent years, our target wards have mainly been in Labour wards, because the Labour Party was in government, and people were dissatisfied with the Labour Party, they're an easy target. Change that. Unless we get a fantastically effective electoral machine, any Labour seat, council seat, becomes unwinnable for us for the next few years, because people want to vote against the Tories. They want to vote against the Lib Dems in the coalition. How are they going to do that? They will tend to vote for the Labour Party. It's going to make it very difficult, except for certain areas. Who controls the council in Derby? The Tories, the Lib Dems. How the hell are we going to beat the Labour Party? Can't be done until they're next in power. But in certain areas like Barnsley, where the Labour Party run the council, as the councils start to have to make cuts, the council is going to get the blame. The Labour Party is going to get the blame. This is the perfect storm for us. The Conservatives and the Lib Dems are getting the blame for the government mess-ups, and the Labour Party is getting the blame for what the council's doing wrong. We're the only ones with clean hands. So we will win seats, we can win seats, but not without targeting really seriously winnable seats. So we have to scale our expectations back in Derby and Labour wards. On the other hand, in wards where it's Tory Lib Dems, where they won't vote Labour because tribally they can't vote Labour, they're going to want to vote for somebody else. And that's where we're available. But to do that, we have to have a slightly softer edge. Because, you know what the middle classes are like, they're a bit prissy about these things. We're a bit rough around the edges, and we're all skinhead thugs here and all the rest of it. These fools alike. So we've got to be a little bit gentler and softer. And Paul mentioned it there. We're partway through a rebrand. The logo is only part of a rebrand. But why have we changed from a logo which was one under, you know, the BNP with the Union Jack running for the letters? Why have we changed that? Well, if you think about every time the BNP is mentioned on television, I noticed this a couple of years ago, that any time one of our people actually did something bad, not very common, but occasionally, or if we lost a seat, it's the British National Party lost a seat. A member of the British National Party ran over someone's cat or whatever. It's the British National Party, making the sound effects. On the other hand, any time we did anything good, the BNP won another seat, the BNP's MEP, it's always the BNP. So they use the full name when it's something bad, and the initials when it's something good they want to try and put down. Why? Because British National Party says we're British. Who's got a problem with that? It says we're national, that's entirely normal. It says we're a party, which overall amongst people voting means you're normal. Another political party, a legitimate choice. The kind of organisations recognised by their initials are usually terrorist organisations. The IRA, the UVF, the EDL, there's something shady about that. So people were conditioned to think the initials, BNP, is basically a political smear word. And that's where we are. And we might not like that, and we're proud of, you know, the name and the initials and the flag, but it's become a fact. And especially at a time when we're going to have to start appealing to a slightly more middle class audience,